like to call the Conservation Commission and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency meeting for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 to order. We have a quorum, but we have, Allison, if you could be seated for Jason Levin. Right. Let's see, approval of minutes for January 7th. Are there any changes or corrections to the minutes for January 7th?
Motion approved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And for the discussion, all in favor? Unanimous. All right. If there are no objections, we're going to change the order of the applications for this evening. And here the application CC number 25-01 first. Are there any objections? And none. So we'll be hearing application CC number 25-01 for Kimberly Brewer, owner, for a wetland permit to construct a single family home with associated improvements, and a portion of which are in the upland review area at 35 Notch Road. Assessors map A16, lot 404, lot 001-1, Simsbury.
Yes, thank you. So this is a continuation of the at the last meeting on January 7th, where you recall there was a map amendment as well as a receipt for determination of significance. It is a single family home being constructed in a regulated area. It was determined not significant. The home is approximately 1,556 square feet with associated well, parking, and septic within the regulated area. The closest disturbance is approximately 40 feet, and the applicant explained that the silt fencing will be installed according to the plan to the grade. We have the applicant here. If there's any further questions. If not, then it is a motion, which is at your dais, and a vote.
Some discussion about this last time. Does anyone have any further questions on this application? It's remember it was it was not a dug foundation, it was a concrete. It's a concrete foundation, correct?
Yes, it's a concrete foundation with a frost wall. Built on site. I'm Brian Deno from Deno Land Surveying. I prepared a plan for the applicant, Kim Brewer. Last time we went over it, we have approval from Harmon Valley Health District for the septic. The septic is outside of the regulated area. The house, septic tank, and the parking area are within the 100-foot setback from the property to the north. We are outside of the regulated area from the wetlands to the south that we had flagged by a soil scientist. We also discussed the area that we're clearing of the trees along the north property line last time. That's right there. It's approximately 670 square feet. It's really just for the grading around the side of the house so that they can still mow there. Right now it's all mowed all the way out back to here, that property line there. Tree line comes back and there's an open meadow there, and all in here is open meadow.
I know last time we asked you about any invasive plants that were on the property.
I'm limited in what I know is invasive. I know Winguionimus. I didn't see any.
I think that's the one that was a concern. We do have a booklet for you.
Yep, she just gave me.
Good.
That was the one I know. That and
Good.
Phragmites.
Yeah, maybe there's none of that. But if you do see any, we would encourage you to remove those.
Yes.
Good. Any other questions? Hearing none, I entertain motion.
I move that the Conservation Commission approves application CC number 25-01 of Kimberly Brewer, owner, for a wetland permit to construct a single family home with associated improvements, a portion which are in the upland review area at 35 Notch Road. Based upon the following findings, short-term impacts on the proposed activity be controlled by installation and maintenance of erosion sediments and subject to the following conditions of development staff report.
We have a second.
A second.
Any discussion? And vote all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No. Right, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
So on to new application for receipt and determination of significance. Application CC number 25-02 of McLean Affiliates. Applicant and owner for a wetland permit to construct 52 new residential units at the existing McLean retirement community with associated improvement in the wetland soils and upland review area at 75 Great Palm Road, assessors map E08, lot 147, lot 001, Simsbury.
You're updated.
So I'll just do
Okay.
a brief summary. So this item is for your determination of significance. It is for application 25-02 for 75 Great Pond Road. The applicant is proposing to construct 52 new residential units with associated improvements in the regulated area. There are also 2 wetland crossings as per the map to the right. As listed on the applicant's report, there's approximately 6,600 square feet of direct soil impact and approximately 5 acres of work within a 100-foot upland review area. And we have Tom Daly from SLR here for a presentation. I can cue yours up.
Thank you, Brittany. Yeah, for the record, Tom Daly with SLR Consulting. I understand my task this evening, and that's to give you a good enough overview so you can make a determination as how you would like this application to proceed. So, and then I'll be more than happy to answer any questions to help you do that. Brittany, next slide. Remind me way. So, first of all, this is the existing McLean campus. So, this is north is pointing left here. So we have the Hot Meadow Country Club here off to the upper part of the thing. We have Great Pond Road here. And if you see this kind of odd shaped building here, that's the health center. For those people that were on the commission a couple of years ago, we came before this commission and received approval for the Goodrich building, which is right located here. To the rear of the property is an undeveloped portion of the property that includes wooded area and an open meadow. Next slide. So the proposal we're here this evening to and we've submitted on is really focused on 2 areas. One, I'll walk you through it, but in the front of the healthcare building, we are simply realigning the roads. If you've been out there, it's kind of a weird switchback. It's really a remnant of what things were before. Part of that, so that's just a road realignment with very, very little activities in the upland review. In the rear area, as Brittany indicated, we are proposing it's 26 buildings with 2 units in each building. So a total of 52 units to the rear. On this plan, you'll see left is still pointing to the north. And then here, the blue areas are your wetland areas, and then the green is your upland review area. Next slide. So as I indicated, when you currently come into McLean, the road kind of brings you to the health center. The Goodrich has really turned into the heart of the campus. So what we're proposing here is to realign the road and as you know, if you've been out there today you have to turn, and come in here. So this is just realignment. This road is going through an area that is already developed. There's already units. We're actually going to have to remove units to construct this. In terms of the regulated activities for your application, we're adding a bit of sidewalk that's about here to the wall. That's the only area that's in the upland review area for this particular portion of the project. Next slide. Really, this is the meat of the application. So as we indicated, so here's the healthcare buildings. Currently, there's a loop road that comes around, and we are proposing this building is called the Burkholder. We have the golf course that's off here at the top of the map. Our proposal is to come in through here, have a loop road around, and then back through. In addition to that, we have an emergency access and a service drive that goes through here. Next slide. To walk you through that a little bit. So as I said, where you see the number 1, that's our main loop road that goes around and then back onto itself. We have number 2, which is a more narrow, it's a 20-foot wide not curbed, service and emergency access drive. We have, as Brittany indicated, we have two wetland crossings. There's a wetland, kind of a thin wetland corridor that runs through. So this site kind of goes up and down and up and down. So every time you have a down, it turns into a little drainage trough that goes through here. So that area was flagged as wetlands. And then we're crossing those two wetlands at what we believe to be the narrowest point. In addition to that, we have two existing stormwater basins. One is associated with the Burkholder, and one was a basin we put in with the Goodrich. And both of those basins will be slightly modified as part of this application, but they'll continue to remain. In addition to that, we are proposing two stormwater areas, one on each side of the wetland corridor, because that's a natural drainage divide. We're handling the stormwater on the south side, and then we're here handling the stormwater on the north side. In addition to that, we are there's the existing meadow here that is proposed to be remain as it is today. Next slide. So on this graphic, it's in your packet. The light blue areas are shown as the areas as we're proposing the wetland crossings, and those are direct soil disturbance in the wetland. And then the light green areas you're seeing are the upland review areas, the areas that are within your regulated area in which we are there. And you'll see in your packet, once you get into there, we've done a very detailed breakdown in terms of those breakdown. And then you'll see that also we prepared a wetland impact assessment. You'll see additional breakdown in there in terms of that. But we really try to give you a breakdown of what's going on in the upland review area and in the wetlands. Next slide. One thing we will be spending some time with you. Obviously, we're crossing these two wetlands. These wetlands it's really a drainage trough. Megan Raymond will be with us next time, and she'll be prepared to give you a very detailed presentation on that. But we are as part of our application, we are, right now, there's not a lot of understory vegetation out there. So what we're proposing is box culverts. Hydraulically, we actually need a much smaller pipe, but we thought a box culvert with a natural bed channel was a better solution here. But like I said, the watershed coming down here is actually pretty small. But we did put together a robust planting plan on the two sides of the culvert with native plants to kind of enhance that area that doesn't currently exist with any under native plants. Out there today, it's really, I guess the northern 2/3 of this area are traditional hardwood forest. And the south 1/3 on the other side of the wetland is basically pine trees. And there's very little understory out there. With that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions the commission has so you can make your determination.
When you go to actually do the construction of the houses, will you end up doing, kind of a clear cutting area and putting things in, or is it going to be local to each of the house that you put in?
What the goal would be is the infrastructure would go in, and the area would be mass grade. Our goal is to balance the cuts and fills, and have a balance site. So what it would do is you would probably mass grade it out, see that area, temporarily stabilize it. And these units will only be built when they have sale, or when there's a party that's ready to move in.
So the big disturbance in this area will be when you put the infrastructure.
Correct. Do the mass, and then those pads will be available for them. And then they'll slowly build these units as they go, but they would be temporarily stabilized for as long as they may be. But you're right, it'll basically that front loaded. It may be broken into two phases, the first loop and then the second loop, but it would still be the same way. And all the stormwater infrastructure would be put in at that first phase.
And then you talked about how you would stabilize that. Is that going to be just with a straight up grass mix, or is that going to be something else? Because it might be there for a while, right?
Correct. It would be, and the DEP says, if it's going to sit there for 30 days, you need to do with it. It would probably be a variety. Probably the first part of it, we probably, we'd identify what we could complete in a reasonable time. So that area may get a different type of quick stabilization. The rare areas probably would get a much more robust stabilization. And then you can actually grade those out. But yes, they could be there for a while. So the expectation is those would be stabilized and not cause any erosion until you built those units.
Yeah, I was actually thinking more about the long-term impact of having just lawn there, for instance, and the mowing, the maintenance versus something else.
No, it would be more of a temporary mix, low maintenance, temporary mix. Whether sometimes it's called an erosion control mix, but something that more low maintenance over time. Yeah, we'll not be maintaining that as a lawn until those units actually are constructed.
So what is the time frame? What the construction phasing for this?
So I think they're proposing somewhere now the market will demand. And we'll be able to present to you a detailed schedule. But I think, you're looking at 2 to 3 years. But that's with the unit construction. Those will be built as the market demands. The expectation for the infrastructure and that front loaded thing would be much shorter.
So, okay, so rephrasing that question, when do you think you do the front loading right now? Like the sort of infrastructure construction, is that scheduled for this year then?
Well, it depends on the approvals.
Sure.
Really, it takes you're the first step.
Okay,
So we still have to go to planning and zoning. We actually even need a state traffic commission permit because the campus is already regulated as a state traffic commission permit. Still have to go to a building permit process. And so there's some time. I mean, I think, even if on best case scenario would be late fall.
Okay.
It's an important project. It's going to take some time to get through your approvals.
Okay.
And then we also still will have to register the project with the DEP, 60 days before construction starts for erosion control. So all those things have to fall into place.
Is it all lawn all around the units?
No, we're actually, we'll present that to you. We're expecting, we're trying to reduce the amount of lawn and reduce the amount of maintenance. That's the point of this. This is an age restricted community. It's owned by anything. So we'll be presenting to you. The expectation is there's a lot of meadow areas and low maintenance, wildflower, and really, that's a long-term cost that is not really required. So the expectation is there will be a small lawn area around the units and the rest will actually be more wild. You may mow that once a year to knock the meadow down. But yeah, no, the expectation is not to make a lawn, big lawn area.
And in the other areas where you will be rerouting, I know there's a lot of burning bush that has been used on campus.
We will be before you. We actually expect to have a fairly robust presentation, especially I know that the commission's, so Mike Doherty from my office, who's a wetland landscape architect and a forestry major, we will give you a very robust presentation in terms of the plant species we picked at. And we actually presented that to McLean, and they brought in their person that runs the game refuge, and Connor gave us a ton of input. And actually, so we actually had to present our approach to Connor was included. He's been a great resource. He actually gave us a list of species to ask for a little tweak. So you may even see Connor here with our presentation. So
I was talking to Connor about that this past
good. Yeah. So I think we presented it to Connor, and but there's been a lot of sensitivity gone to the picking of the plants on this site.
Because this is a good opportunity. That's a lovely field.
Yeah.
And the more you can replace what was there, that'd be great.
but I think the piece to add is the basic control where you're doing the infrastructure.
Yep.
So the second part is adding the natives back. But when you're going in to do the big infrastructure work, some focus on the removal of the invasives would help as well.
Yeah, we walked it with the town, and I'll have Megan Raymond present on that also. There's not a lot of understory out here. It's really just things. There's one area that almost seems like the transition between the hardwood forest and the wild. Maybe there was one area in there, but there's not a lot out there. But we'll give you a presentation to that part of it
It's
too.
also that, it's that edge.
Yeah.
It's a really important
Yeah.
habitat, so that,
Yeah.
you know, planting along the edge would be.
Yeah, there's definitely some areas where we're looking to heal that edge with a, the native species, rhododendrons, mountain. And I won't speak, maybe more mountain laurel and those type of things, but there's definitely an edge healing, approach that we have put into the plans that Mike will speak to.
This is a big application. I think there will be a lot of public interest. So,
And it goes over the waterways, and
Yes.
typically when we have that would trigger a public hearing.
I mentioned another.
So we have a request, our next meeting is February 4th. There's a request to do it at either the next meeting. We have to open the public hearing 65 days after the receipt, which is today. So we have until March 27th. We hope to not go that far out, but there are other times that we can begin the public hearing process. My point is, it doesn't have to be the next meeting.
Right, but why wouldn't we do the next one?
If to give the public more time to be able to attend. I mean, the next one is in, what, 2 weeks or so?
Okay.
We have a lot of abutters, so we have to send those letters out. And then we do our noticing in the Hartford Current
Okay.
twice, so.
So at the full, not next meeting, but the following meeting.
Right, there is the February 18th meeting, February 4th, February 18th, and then March 4th after that.
Does that work with everyone?
Yeah.
All right, we can schedule it for the following, not the upcoming, but the.
February 18th.
Hearing,
So that will be,
motion. Yeah, the motion for significance.
oh, right, we have to do the motion. Yes. So you do the motions for significance and schedule it for the public hearing on that date
So.
for February 8th, the one you choose, for February
Okay, yeah, from February
18th, yeah.
I'll second.
Right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. See you then.
We'll look for potentially alternative vending. Just so you know,
All right.
hopefully the library. That'll be in the notice.
Yeah. All right, the next item is designated action, agent actions and other reports.
None for me.
So we're on to the Conservation Commission business. Last time we had Brittany had put together the lighting, draft lighting regulation. And we were all having a chance to look over it.
Yeah, Charles gave some good feedback in terms of kind of creating a staff report and showing the steps that were taken to create the lighting regulation. So I did that. There are a few other topics that I'm trying to work out in terms of wording. So I could take comments today, but there's still work that I'm doing on this, specifically in terms of sports lighting. I want to get that right.
I did have a couple, I had it all nicely written out and they left it at home, but I remembered the book list. So in the purpose section, are we just encouraging outdoor lighting practices or are we regulating?
Well, the purpose of the regulation is to encourage outdoor lighting, and then the regulation is like the following sections are the regulations of it.
And then I had a question. We have to, this gets tricky, temporary holiday lighting. I know we can't regulate.
I know, I tried to work on that wording as well. Each town does it a little different, some more vague, some more specific. I looked at it from a enforcement point of view. Some towns said, no more than 40 days out of the year. Can get tricky for staff to kind of regulate.
Especially when who starts when and who starts, yeah.
Right.
We are not asking people.
So
with
we
holiday
are,
lights.
so I
We're
added,
not.
so I added wording, temporary holiday lighting for a period of time to be commensurate with the holiday being celebrated. I'm hoping that's,
So not too many people would light up for 4th of July, but that's a different.
right.
But not house lighting, that's maybe. Halloween.
So we can take a look at that a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
more.
So I was,
It is,
before I was looking at like section 4. E. And F, which is like illumination of entire buildings. And the facade illumination shall be limited to security lighting or lighting of specific architectural features. And F, floodlights project above the horizontal plane. And I guess the question is, well, it's, those seem to be, I won't say that they're vague, but I think they're open to interpretation, which is kind of good and could be bad. So how in this sort of
so which section are you talking about specifically? Your 4?
4
Yeah.
E and F. So it's like 4B, like these phototextile lights are prohibited. 4B lasers, we're gonna prohibit those. But
Searchlights.
in the searchlights, but E and F seem to be a little bit nebulous. So I was just wondering, how would you anticipate somebody, rectifying that? I think we talked last time, there was a way to handle an appeal process for any of the stuff.
Yes, we don't want to go into the writing regulations with hopes that people appeal. We do want to be as specific as possible, and realistic as possible.
Right.
So that can be looked at to be more specific. I think the idea was that I know there's some buildings that kind of illuminate the whole building unnecessarily, which it can be security lighting. So yeah, to be more specific on that.
Yeah, and I was wondering about the specific architectural features. I didn't
Right.
say I have a lovely. That's
Like
tricky.
I'm thinking like a portico that's lit up from the bottom or something like that.
Yeah,
Well, and
as long as it doesn't shine up or it doesn't.
Right,
I think that's might be more about the direction,
yes.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
And the timing, does it have to be illuminated all night?
Yeah.
I mean, it's essential to see it, but have it lit up and no one can see it. And we're all asleep. I mean, it could be, you can light it up till 11 o'clock and then after that, turn it off.
Oh, so maybe, yeah, okay.
Put in some
Yeah,
sort
that
of
might,
direction.
yes. So I'll be more specific with directional and timing. That might-
And the security lighting should, I mean, having that light on all the time is not the most secure. It's having it on a motion sensor that
Right,
would be beneficial.
yeah.
It's on all the time, no one notices it. Comes on, people notice. And in 2D. I.
oh, yeah.
It says reduce power output by 50% during non-business hours, but down in additional lighting requirements. 1C says reduced by 75%.
So this is where I'm gonna work more on the sports lighting. So the additional lighting requirements are gonna be its own section. They're not they don't necessarily have to be beholden to the section above, and I have to word that better. Because there are some sports that require certain lighting.
Yes.
So I want to make sure
Yeah.
that
But if no one's, it's during non-business
I
hours.
was, well, so the sports lighting would have its own
Yeah.
shut off requirements.
Okay.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have to abide by the section above that's talking about the site plans and the businesses, but I have to explain that better.
Okay. I was just wondering if we could reduce the 50% or have it turned off during non-business hours. Really. Yeah. Because we really haven't addressed lumens, and I don't really know how to get into that. But I don't know that it was in the Was it in the model regs?
It was in the model regs and I tried to avoid that language.
Yeah.
I tried to be as specific and straightforward as possible and try to get to the dark sky principles without introducing this new.
Yeah, because if it's really, really bright, even reducing it by 50% is just not doing much.
Right,
Yeah,
but we do have the 3,000 Kelvin.
That's the
required.
color. But that's not the lumens.
Right.
So, the lumens are the intensity of the light rather than the color.
Mhm. We just have to also be careful that staff can enforce this. as
Sure.
well.
Yeah, we don't have a lumen machine.
No,
Yeah.
but I know there's a light down the street from me that's on a sign. It is so bright.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to be that bright to see it
Right,
at night. It's just, it's noticeable. I don't think we need aluminum, lumen.
Well, it does if we're enforcing it, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We do.
But if someone is coming in for an application, I mean, the enforcement is different, but this is to encourage.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the site plan process. We're gonna
Right.
have, at the beginning, we're gonna be
Yeah.
working with that applicant.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yes,
these are for
right.
new applications.
It'll all
Yeah.
build on each
Yeah.
other with lighting style,
Yeah.
fixture,
So,
it'll
so
all
somewhere
build.
we should have,
So it shouldn't ever be bright.
yeah,
If you,
so somewhere we should have lumens in there.
Okay.
Just say no, shouldn't be no brighter than needed.
right,
But
and no,
somewhere,
and yes,
I think
yeah,
we
I have
do
seen
Yeah,
language.
so we don't want them doing embroidery by the light of the sign.
Right.
Yeah, but letters are for this call, you don't need to be able to read this. Yeah, you can read a newspaper. The big thing, you just need to go like.
So somehow we need to get, and I couldn't quite see where we would put it.
Mhm. I have an idea.
Well, you, maybe. Maybe it's as easy as adding saying in the purpose, which is, so you prevent light nuisances or properties. It, say not over intensive, but, intensive lighting, just to say the goal is to reduce the intensity of lighting. Put it in the purpose, and then you just leave the requirements to support that.
Yeah, but we should get lumens in there.
I don't know how you were going to do that.
I don't know, that's why it was like, if there's something in the model regs we already scouted, I couldn't find.
Okay,
If there isn't, then they don't have to do it either, and we don't have to.
and I'll look around, yeah.
But if there is something from on any other town or,
But it's so application specific.
I know,
So I mean, like, because one set of lumens might be fine for the local, smaller stuff, but if you're trying to illuminate an architectural feature in that bulb.
I
House,
agree.
that's gonna be a lot of lumens. So if you wanna go through and do lumens everywhere, you're gonna have trouble.
no, that's why I wanted to see whether towns did something else, someone else did something. Because it is tricky, I mean, putting something vague and like no brighter than it needs to be.
Right,
is
that's
like
not, yeah.
Yeah.
useless. And so,
Well, it does allow you to argue.
that's just slightly brighter than it needs to be. I think.
I know, you can't, yeah, you can't.
So if any other town has tackled that, it'd be good to know, but I don't think I how that do that.
So there were two other things. One is that the section is about like where this does not apply to. It
Mhm.
says this section does not apply to residential properties, blah, blah. If there was a way to highlight that when someone's reading it, because it's kind of buried.
Okay, so maybe I'll make it a new paragraph.
Either a new paragraph or basically highlight it, just highlights it. So when someone's scanning it, because when I first scanned it, I thought I had seen that someplace, but I had to go zero in on that
Got it.
paragraph to read it.
You want it so that it doesn't cover residential property?
No, this does not cover residential properties.
it does not.
So,
As
so,
written.
so if somebody was reading this,
That's a bridge that I'm not sure we want to cross.
For new residential properties?
Right.
so, well, that was the second point I was gonna bring up, which is that, I think we need to highlight this, but I do think we need to address, and maybe it's a second phase of this work, let's get this one done,
Mhm.
but I do think you're gonna want to have guidelines for residential stuff as well. The dark, if you think about dark skies in Simsbury, You're talking about residential.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have to think about enforcement and
Again.
stuff. So that's why we're starting with the site plan process. I think that's the best way to regulate.
And
Then,
yeah,
But when an application, I mean, this only happens when an application is coming for us. I mean, they can go and change the light fixture afterwards. But it's an educational moment for when a builder comes before, they should be asking, are you using dark sky compliant fixtures? I mean, they don't cost any more. They, you know,
it may be that it's not a regulation per se as a guideline if you do in the review. So I'm actually fully in line with the way the process you have now. Let's attack this one, figure out how to get it underneath our belt, but we can't, once we get that done, you're gonna have to circle
And
that.
it's gonna apply to big footprinted
Yeah,
residential. And you know, anything above a single family is gonna require a site plan, requires.
sure.
You know, and, you know, we built about 9 single family homes this year. We built about 6 big single family homes last year. You know, we were not building a lot of new single family homes that even this would ever even apply to.
so perhaps instead, when we have applications come before us or any sort of modifications or whatever, it sounds like we need a document that we can give the homeowners.
Got it.
Yes.
As
Yes.
suggestion, this would be,
Yes.
just as giving out the invasive plant thing.
We can do that.
Booklet.
But if you want, it's like, I have a nice big maple tree, I want to illuminate the maple tree, I'm gonna have to have the electrician pull a permit for that.
Yes.
But there'd be nothing to stop me from
no,
shining lights up on the tree.
Staff is gonna recommend you not touch single family property owners, but
Correct.
you can do what you want with that.
No, but
That's gonna staff.
But I mean, when I drive around, that's a lot of the lighting, I see exterior lighting, I see are like a spotlight going up, and I know one on Great Pond, it's got nice alcoves and then some light shining up, it's not shining down. I'm just saying,
Yes.
I don't disagree with having that, it looks pretty. But if it's not gonna apply to certain buildings, there's a lot of exceptions here, I'm not really sure how much it's.
Essentially applies to new commercial development. I
Okay,
mean, that's.
because I know
where
like
it applies
the
heaviest.
the old Simsbury Bank and Trust building on the corner on what's the street? Right next to Wellman Hardware. That thing's lit up like Fort Knox all the time. I don't even think it's occupied. It's very, very bright. That's what you're,
Yes.
okay.
So it also goes to, we need more education on our website, town website. So dark sky would be another thing to include in our website. Another motion.
So what's the next steps on this? Then you're gonna take another shot at the wording to.
yes, and I can work with Marjorie also. We want to draft that is endorsed by you and then you as the applicant, bring it to zoning commission, present to them, and then they would schedule the public hearing.
And we might want to look at the regulations for illumination signs.
Yes, that's something else.
That would be after this. Yeah.
So this will be on our work list for a while.
Maybe better.
Once or twice. Yeah, we're almost there.
No, I meant like the overall dark skies thing.
Yeah,
This part we're almost done with.
yeah,
But you got the signs, you got the.
we have to submit to zoning and they have to do something. Should we do a presentation to zoning?
You certainly should.
An educational presentation as to why we need this?
You certainly should. Absolutely.
Schedule that. Well, once we get this initiative, then we can schedule it.
Yeah.
Financial public hearing.
Just for my education, it says does not apply to sign illumination of signs. So, because I just driving around at night, you see have, a nice sign and
That's what,
it's
right,
sort of
that's
pointed
what-
up, because you don't want the neon sign,
Well, it's
backlit sign.
It says it's not applied to the illumination of signage, which is addressed in another zoning.
so that's the one that
That's
I'm
in the-
saying,
oh,
sign illumination.
So signage, lighting for signs is very complicated and has been fairly controversial at zoning commission and design review. We would propose to do that next.
Okay, no, I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
but there is
Yeah.
those,
That's-
Here,
that's-
here.
that's
Yes.
what I said.
it is addressed.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah, that would be.
We have sign requirements. We have lighting sign requirements today in the zoning regs. We do think that they should be reviewed and with the, because there's some of the dark sky principles applied to it. We do that as a next phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing our duty as conservation. Um. Summer of any upcoming events? I think not CACI, CAUSE, the Connecticut Association of Wetland Scientists is having their meeting in March.
Yes, I think I did see that.
And that also there was a review, there's gonna be a review of the legal stuff of that, is that I'm trying to remember.
No, that's the Connecticut.
Connecticut Bar.
Land Council. Oh, that one, yeah. Yeah. And
There is a good wetland section that they cover on that. If you want to. March 26th.
Which,
So remember, the Connecticut Bar one is an all-day Saturday,
That's all day.
9 to 4.
Yeah.
And they do land use,
Zoom.
just, it's virtual, it's a Zoom, it's Zoom training.
So has anybody done that?
I know,
I've done it.
It's been going on. They've been
Very
running
long.
for decades.
Very
Very long. How useful was it?
When it came up to things I was involved with, I think the first time I went, I was on the zoning board of appeals. And it was interesting to watch, but the only section that really had anything to do with what I was doing was the ZBA. You know, it's interesting to see some of the cases that people have done. You know, when I was on zoning, I think I went again, and I think there was more applicable to that. And I'm thinking the most recent one I went to, I think it was maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And it was, you know, there's just a ton of information you get.
It's a comprehensive
It's
approach to land use.
absolutely,
So it's everything.
everything.
Subdivision, special exception, site plan, DBA, inland wetland. So it's, you know, it's certainly 80-20, you know, kind of environmental review to kind of straight land use review.
Yeah.
There's one, you know, segment. I think we have the brochure has the full agenda. We'll send it to you. We have it. Send it.
I mean, it was interesting if you're interested. I mean, I found a lot of it interesting. But, you know, the things that were applicable was whatever commission I was on at the time.
sure,
You know, so.
And we'll pay for that. So just so you know, the town will pay for that. That's that commissioner training.
Is that similar to what I know my wife is on the planning commission, we did some Zoom thing during the pandemic.
So it's I would say
It's similar, it seemed to have more application to, because they're talking about, talked a lot of in the wetland stuff in that. Is it similar?
I would say it's similar. Yes, I would. Maybe a little heavier on the law side, and kind of effects of decision-making for land use boards and commissions. Because it's run by the Connecticut Bar, so it's kind of lawyer heavy. But there's good value if you really want to spend your day learning about land use in Connecticut.
I expect there's lots of good value now, so I'm trying to figure out, you know, whether that or the Connecticut, you know.
The land conservation council
Yes.
is coming up in March as well. There are a lot of things coming up in March. So your weekends will be full. Your dance card will be completely full. But if anyone here has anything else. Anything else? I brought in a big stack of Simsbury land trust and basic plan. Removal books, booklets, for Brittany to pass out to any new applicants that come to us. So we'll be able to send them home with something when they say, I don't know what they look like.
There's no excuse.
Okay, that's-
The P O C D implementation committee is next,
They're gonna meet next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. So I think what I'm just gonna do is highlight some of the couple things that we're working on.
I got a letter from the charter revision committee. It was very vague. It said, look through whatever is in the state statutes or your regulations and get back to us. I mean, it really, I was totally confused. Is there anything on, is there a discussion about the Conservation Commission in?
So what I understand is that the Charter Review Commission is extending an invitation to chairpersons of town boards and commissions for insight or issues related to your particular board or commission vis-a-vis the charter. Charter really, for you guys, for instance, does not talk a lot about purpose. You're state enabled primarily, right? But where it does, it addresses total number.
Yes.
I guess it talks about bylaws, it talks about elected or appointed. I know that there has been some talk or rumors about at least talking about consideration of combining certain boards and commissions or separating certain boards and commissions. Might have an opinion on that, but I'm not in that room, so I don't know what's really going
It also
on.
makes it very difficult to comment if you don't know.
I'm happy to send you over what the charter says about your commission, but it's just the establishment. It all
No,
does.
I mean, I looked through all the, I mean, I know them, I looked through.
It says there shall be an inland wetlands commission of 7 members or something like that.
And, we're not thinking of changing the number, we're
Yeah.
not changing the appointment process, we're not thinking of doing any of those
You might
things.
just offer to happy to answer any questions if you had specific question.
Yeah, but they,
And the same conversation with the zoning commission chair, yes, the exact same thing. It's like, well, what do you want me to say?
yeah, it was, what, if I wanted to know, what are you saying about us? Is what I wanted.
We haven't been asked.
But the question is what do they need from us? I mean, I think in terms of how our commission is set up, we don't have a whole lot to say because it's set by the state, but I mean, we could talk about whether you'd ever want to split it, because one is by,
Yes.
is a state mandate, one is.
A regulatory agent and the other one's a committee.
Right, but I suspect where this is going is, should this be combined with other committees? And the question is, my guess is we have a lot to say about that.
Yes.
And so would we
If
send
that's the
that back?
question we're being asked.
I don't know.
So I suspect that we'll have to ask that. Maybe I'll ask it at the P O C D implementation committee.
Would they know?
I don't think anybody there's gonna know.
I mean,
So that's not particularly helpful.
So what I would do is I would recommend perhaps that the chairwoman reach out to the
Chris Bonnet.
chairwoman of the
That's-
charter revision. Committee, see what they're asking for.
That was what I was wondering if
Yeah.
that's cricket to do.
Yeah. And the only thing I was thinking, if there, for some reason, you were so enamored with, we really only need 4 people on this commission and not 9 or 8 or 7. I mean, that's a terrible example, but that would be appropriate to tell the charter review.
Yeah. So it's
But
all right for me to reach out to Chris. Bonnet.
Yes, the whole process, yeah.
Although there's no contact information on any of that.
Yeah. I'm not facilitating that group. But you can reach out to Chris.
What?
I would reach out to Ms. Barnett.
Okay. All right, somehow. Smoke signals.
So I've got her email. I'll send you her email.
Send me your email. That would help.
Yes.
You have a? Okay, good.
Just send
Good.
us.
All
I
right.
can,
As long
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Forward, that I can have these conversations. Fine, good.
Staff is not particularly involved.
All right.
For good reasons.
Yes, all right, good. Well, that clarifies that. It was, I'm glad other people were equally confused. Yes, all right.
if you find out anything for the next Tuesday meeting, I don't know if it's sent it to the staff or send it to the whole thing, but it'd be interesting to know if you find out anything.
Would CSCD committee have anything to do with it?
I don't think so, but the reason I was thinking about it is that if we're talking to open space or these other groups at that thing, and this is all sort of floating around, it's probably gonna come up, but you talk about, this is a way for us to talk to the other committees.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be done this time.
But I'm just wondering for open space, would it be, our first selectman?
The chairwoman is,
Would be the. one
Wendy's
contact.
the, is
Yeah, she's the
the
chair.
the chair of that committee.
Okay, good. All right, well, that's all I have. I'm glad I remembered it. So do we have anything else to add? We have a motion to adjourn.
Let's move second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SEM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SEM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions, and it's no secret people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SEM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government come together.